It's time for WWE Backlash predictions. I am Luke Owen, DAD, and I'm joined by the original Renegade Master, Oliver Davis. Ollie, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk about this essentially admin processing, let's tie up loose ends after the draft. Nothing pay-per-view.
I don't even think they're tying up loose ends after that. What this is. We've always started, we were like, God, this feels like a glorified... Do you know what this feels like? Super Showdown in Australia.
If Super Showdown the week beforehand had just moved everyone to different brands and they were just kind of feuding and they just wanted to wrap up some feuds. It makes a lot of these very predictable, I'd say. But otherwise, how can you finish the story?
Well, we will get to that, I suppose.
You've got to continue the story.
Because it's not just... It's a bit of a delay holdover because we've just done the draft and now we need to sort of figure out what the new feuds are in terms of coming out of the draft. It's also a bit of a holding pattern because we've got a new World Heavyweight Champion to crown at the next pay-per-view. So we can't really do much of anything here because the important thing is happening in it. This is the pre-story. This is the pre-show for a pay-per-view that's coming next month. But also, there's nothing on here that's going to follow on to next month.
What's like a step down from premium? Like, because it doesn't feel premium live event.
No.
It feels exclusive live event.
Exclusive's good. Yeah, there's an exclusive live event, an ELE.
We are we're broadcasting behind a Peacock paywall a live event from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, this is...
Which we've loaded. Sometimes we do this with Madison Square Garden.
But we used to do this in the UK. This is Insurrection. This is Rebellion.
Everyone at school had Insurrection on VHS.
Yeah, of course it is. It's the UK pay-per-view. This is Mayhem in Manchester is what this is. And, we're being charged with do you remember Insurrection? This feels like a bit of a tangent now. But Insurrection, we used to get pay-per-views for like 15 quid. And you could buy WrestleMania for 15 quid. Some of them are actually just included in your Sky Sports package if you weren't, like I didn't, but I had to go around to a friend's house to do it. Insurrection and Rebellion, which were glorified house shows, were full price pay-per-views. They were like 40 quid each. What a rip-off for a crap show. Do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
So if you think...
I think there are some things on here which are noteworthy. I think it'll be fun.
This will be a fun event, no doubt on that one. But if you also, like Oliver Davis, think that this is a predictable show and you want to show off that, why not head over to Wrestle League? There's a link for that in the video description down below. Join us over at Wrestle League. Compete against Oliver Davis and myself and the rest of the WrestleTalk boys and girls in Predictions War. Brand new season starts.
Yeah. Exciting. It is exciting. I thought you were going to continue.
I did. I threw to you to then give your input onto Wrestle League.
My input is going to be, I'm going to give you all my predictions.
But I thought you might give some input on the excitement of Wrestle League.
It's great. There's prizes. It's a new season. I didn't do very well last season. I want to do better this season. I believe it starts now and ends with SummerSlam.
I had, honestly, a really good season up until the final weekend where I had a terrible NXT. And a very bad WrestleMania night too.
There were a lot of shows where you could get tripped up on. I went with my heart. I went for Cody.
My ROH predictions went all the other way as well. I was there being like, I'm sure Mark Briscoe's winning the title.
That's the trouble with Wrestle League, because I can predict WWE and AEW. But can you predict that random Impact show that pops up out of nowhere and you get an email and you go, oh God, I've got oh my God, what's going on in Impact? I recognize Moose's name. Shall I go for Moose? Is he still getting pushed?
But let's talk about this show in particular, and we're going to kick things off with Bianca Belair versus Io Sky for the Raw Women's Championship. Both of them now on SmackDown. Do you think they're just going to do the belt swap?
I mean, I don't see what else they would do. Because it's not like Io Sky is still on Raw and you could go, well, maybe it's now the time to beat Bianca Belair either. If she didn't lose at WrestleMania, it's certainly not going to be now to Io Sky. As much as I love Io Sky, she's not been pushed properly.
Could you imagine if they just end Bianca Belair's 1 year plus reign as Roman champion by like, just swap it for the other belt, will you? Just start a new one. Day dots, SmackDowns. Do another year.
I mean, but that's what they're going to do because the belt's the wrong color. So what we're not doing, I think we're both in agreement that Io Sky is losing here.
Oh, yeah.
Our prediction is, what are they going to do with the color of the belt?
That's, I think, the more intriguing thing here, because I don't think Io Sky's got a cat and hell's chance of winning this match.
And neither is Zelina Vega.
Yeah, yes. I think she's got even less of a chance than Io Sky has. We'll get to that in a minute. So we're both. I'm saying Belair to retain.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Belair to retain.
Yeah.
If they don't, that's insanity.
It is insanity. And I think they are still telling the story of the damage control split, which actually, when you think about it, sort of really opens up the SmackDown women's picture, which has been quite desolate for since Triple H took over. It's been a really barren wasteland of nothingness. But since the draft, all of these new faces, Belair going across, Asuka's been drafted across, and if you split up damage control, you've all of a sudden got Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky as singles wrestlers.
And you've done loads of NXT call-ups. None of them, women-wise, particularly great, I would say. But it does get a lot more bodies. It freshens up the faces in that division. Yeah, I mean, we've said it before. It's odd how Triple H hasn't really booked the women's division to the extent that it can be, considering when he used to run NXT, and that was such a focal point and a real feather in their cap.
Which brings us to the next match on this list for the SmackDown Women's Championship.
But what do you think is going to happen to the colour of the belt?
Well, I was going to tie that into the chat here because you could make the argument. It's Rhea Ripley versus Zelina Vega. Ripley has been drafted to, she's remained on Raw as the SmackDown Women's Champion. Mm-hmm. Judgment Day were a separate draft from Rhea Ripley. I presume so that they can say Rhea Ripley was number 1 overall draft pick to make her feel like a big deal.
And that's great.
But it makes no storyline sense because every other group was drafted as a group. Mm-hmm. But Zelina Vega, who was drafted with the LWO, is on SmackDown. So perhaps you could, maybe this is how she's got a chance now because she's on the blue brand, so she could have the belt with the right color on it. And that fixes one of the issues we have.
You think Zelina Vega?
No, I don't. I'm just saying.
Vega has only been brought back in to get beaten because she tried to set up a union. That's all she does now.
And she is in this match as well because she has ties to Puerto Rico.
Of course. And the other way WWE use her is, we've got a video game promotion time. You can cosplay. Mm-hmm. As video game character.
What's she going to cosplay as for this one? It's a big show. She might pull out a big cosplay deal.
So video game wise, I don't know many video games, so I'm just going to say Kirby.
Kirby's a good shout. She might do something around Princess Peach. After all, it's just crossed $1 billion at the box office. Maybe she'll tie into that.
Do you know, are there any videos about that I could watch that might explain previous versions of that movie?
I think there is, yeah. When I was browsing, I found this channel called Cutscene.
Oh, look at that. Is that a play on film development stories that have been cut from actually happening?
Yeah, and it's also a term used in video games as well. It's actually a very clever
That's remarkable. Name. That's the sort of thing Laurie Blake would have come up with.
Oh. Let's not go down that road. It was my idea. Everyone has forgotten that it was my idea, and everyone's ignoring the fact that I wrote that down first.
Is this common knowledge?
No,
this is the first time that I...
It was my suggestion for it, and then we went with something else, and then Laura said we should call it Cutscene. I was like, what a brilliant name. I was like, yeah, that I suggested originally.
3 months beforehand. And we're like, yeah, okay, Luke, we'll work on that later. And then Laurie's just so cool.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think when he says things.
It's because I wrote it down in a PowerPoint presentation. Yeah. I was like, lame.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think Rhea Ripley's winning.
Yes, but they're not going to do that, are they? Vega's not going to win, and you can't sort out the title mismatch that way. So I can't see, obviously there's the bad scenario where it's just a switch. What other versions of this are there?
There's the version that Triple H has done previously and has got, he has got history with this. Remember Asuka got called up and she just vacated the belts and then they just put it up for other people to fight for instead.
So what, both Belair and Rhea would vacate the belts and you'd have more tournaments at Night of Champions.
It's a night of tournaments.
At the forefront of change, especially in Saudi Arabia, all those women.
Yeah, exactly. Well, look at all the history you're going to make crowning 2 new champions. with T-shirts.
Yeah. Well, no, they don't wear T-shirts now. They wear far less sexualized skin-tight cat suits.
It's just 8 cat women's.
Especially Rhea Ripley. I saw her at Elimination Chamber, and that was the most dominatrix she's ever looked in the pod cage.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm so happy for Rhea though. Like, she is really getting pushed, like Becky Lynch levels, and she's amazing.
She's awesome.
Really, really happy.
I don't think they know what they're going to do with those belts yet. They'll cross that bridge when they get to it.
What about? Here's another idea. So SmackDown belt stays on Raw. Raw belt stays on SmackDown. Triple H introduces brand new belt designs. They're not called Raw and SmackDown anymore. They're called like the World Heavyweight Women's Championship and the WWE Women's Championship. And you give them different color, like they're not colors, they're nice old gold belts.
There's every chance you might be on the money somewhere down the line as well, because on the Raw after Mania, they did tease a champ versus champ match between Belair and Ripley. Because I remember saying to Dan on that live reactions we did for it, this feels like they're setting up a title unification between the Raw and SmackDown championships. So yeah, you could have, say, SummerSlam. Up until now, you just have Rhea is just on Raw with the SmackDown Women's title, and Bianca Belair is on SmackDown with the Raw Women's title. And then at some point, Triple H is like, this is nonsense. The colors don't make sense. At SummerSlam, there's going to be a title unification match, and whoever wins that will have that belt. And the brand that doesn't will have this new women's championship to fight over.
The consolation prize.
Consolation prize.
I don't like
I think
that
that's one of the
version.
better options they have, though.
I think just introduce new belts, new belt designs, new names, but you keep the lineage and you get away from it being tied to a brand.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So like, they don't even fight each other. They introduce like the Raw Women's Championship is now this new title.
Yeah.
Okay,
keep the lineage. But yeah, there's one other way, isn't there, where you just have them as floating champions. So the brand split is immediately undermined and they can appear on both sides.
Well, speaking of which, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are teaming with Matt Riddle to take on the bloodline of Solo Sikoa, Jay and Jimmy Uso. So Owens and Zayn have been drafted to Raw, as has Matt Riddle, but they are also still the SmackDown Tag Champions, so presumably can also still show up on SmackDown. And I don't think they actually have an answer for that either. Also, so that's point one. Point two, you want to talk about a storyline that feels like it's been taken hugely off the boil.
Yeah.
It's the good guys versus the bloodline.
It's still good. I'm still enjoying it. It's just, we had a high. We had a crescendo of this storyline, and it was at WrestleMania. And I think we're all excited about the follow-up to that, because the central component of this, the clash, is Jay and Sami. Still very much into that. But the fact that Roman retained and has changed everyone else's dynamics, so it feels stale and not refreshed, not like a new challenge to move forward with.
And I think the reason why I pulled a face when you said the Sami and Jay thing is because they have not moved the story forward. Like Jay said, we're going to win the belts for Roman. And Sami will backstage be like, why are you doing things for Roman? I was like, we had this promo last month. And then Jimmy's like, I think Kevin Owens is going to turn on you. I was like, this was literally the build we had for WrestleMania. The story is just spinning its wheels. And it feels like it's going nowhere fast. I'd really like to keep these teams separate apart. And I also don't think that WWE know whether or not they're introducing new tag belts, whether Owens and Zayn will just defend the SmackDown Tag Championships against someone else and a SmackDown team wins them. Like say like Pretty Deadly just win the belts or something.
Yes, please.
Is that what you want?
I love Pretty Deadly.
Yeah.
I remember seeing them. We're recording this in Hackney, and over the canal is Stratford, the Stratford Circus. Were you at that show? The Will Ospreay run show?
No, I can go. I was
on
a holiday.
So
they did the angle that you thought was one of the greatest.
I was worked. But I'm pretty sure Pretty Deadly, they were called something else back then. Were on the show. First time I'd seen them, I was like, oh my God, these guys just, their performative abilities are so far beyond this tiny show. And now, they're in the right stage now. I cannot wait to see how they're used on the main roster because they're so funny.
That's what they need, a tag division. Like, they've got a pretty stacked tag division on both Raw and on SmackDown. They just need something to fight over, I guess.
Well, I think you can have, so for my prediction on this, I think the Bloodline win, but then moving forward, these tag team belts are just, again, slightly rebranded. I don't think you need brand new. Oh, no, you probably do, because it's just 2 sets of belts. You create 1 set of belts, a new set of belts, not tied to a brand, do a tournament on SmackDown, and it can have the Usos, have Pretty Deadly, have the New Day. Where did they end
New Day
up?
on Raw.
They're on Raw. Who else is on tag teams are on SmackDown? Did Chad, the American Alpha get drafted over?
No, they're all still on Raw. Street Profits got drafted.
Yeah, they'll be a big part of it.
Brawling Brutes are there as well. Viking Raiders ended up
They've
on
gone
Raw. So you think the Bloodline win here?
Yes, because they've done a few losses.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. I think all signs kind of point towards them winning because, they have been beaten. Like, they lost to Owens and Zayn on SmackDown. Matt Riddle beat Jimmy here. It just feels like they haven't got any big wins since, they beat someone on Raw a couple of weeks back, but they haven't felt like they've had like a big momentum win. However, my worry is if the Bloodline win here, that just means this story must continue and we just do more with Owens, Zayn, and Riddle versus the Bloodline. And I am very much done and ready for this story to move on.
Not if the brand split is hard.
But what does it lead to if the Bloodline just win?
Well, the story, what do you do? How do you continue the story if the baby faces get the ultimate victory at the end?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, the baby faces just win.
No. This is WWE. The heels have to win at the end.
Right.
And then they can come back months down the line.
I thought you were just going to say then the story never ends.
Yes, story never ends. It's the never-ending story.
I'm going with Team Good Guy here.
Okay. Oh, we're different then.
We are different on that one. I don't think we'll be different on the next one. Seth Rollins versus Amos in a what's the story match. This got zero build on the go-home show for Raw. Seth Rollins did a promo, did not mention Amos whatsoever. Amos had a squash match. Rollins' name was never mentioned. So the point where I thought this match had been taken off the pay-per-view and they just hadn't said anything.
It's such a curious one, isn't it? Because it was announced on social media and everyone...
it was announced on SmackDown, I think.
But not as like a big thing.
No.
It was just like here's a graphic.
They were just running down the card and they were like, Seth Rollins versus Amos.
And everyone was like, what? It's like WWE don't want to do this match. It feels like maybe someone's come back recently and he's said, look, Amos, he's a big guy. I'm just doing a generic voice. I really want Amos to face one of the top guys like after Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins. And they're like, sure, okay. And then they've committed to that, but they don't want to dedicate TV time.
I'm so sorry. But the choice has been made and you're going to have to do this.
Give me a solid Seth. Go on. I'll make a new championship belt for you.
Because they then did announce the championship after they'd announced that match. Actually, it was like 2 weeks after they'd announced that match. And it really feels like those two things are like this one over here where they've announced new title has superseded this one over here. I think Rollins is going to win.
100%.
Amos never wins these matches. He's always like basically Amos's build is squashes guys on TV, announce for a big match, loses that big match, then squashes guys on TV, announce for a big match, loses that big match, then goes back to squashing guys on TV and never gets over doing any of it. And I think this is just another one here. Rollins wins. He's probably going to win the world title at Night of Champions.
Thankfully, MVP negotiated hard for that free agency status, which means Amos can do that on both brands.
And so can Von Wagner, and probably will equally not get over.
I had a terrible time pronouncing NXT names on the news yesterday. Said Isla Dawn instead of Isla Dawn.
All right, Michael Cole. Isla Dawn, it's written right there.
I know. Someone said, Ollie's definitely doing a Michael Cole joke there. I was like, I actually just didn't hear what was coming out of my mouth. And I recorded the news by myself. It was a bank holiday. And I also said Von Wagner. No one picked up on that one, though. I agree. I think Seth Rollins, this is the victory to give him momentum going into the tournament as well. Yeah. But it doesn't mean anything because everyone beats Amos. But it will be good. Oh, no, it's not even this isn't the Saudi match.
No.
This feels like such a Saudi match. Did they get the dates wrong?
Or they knew they were going to do Night of Champions. They moved. They were like, well, we can't do Seth versus Omos in Saudi because Seth's going to win the belt. We'll just do it in Puerto Rico instead then.
I must say, though, so the bigger Moss matches have been Bobby Lashley, it's been Brock Lesnar, and now it's going to be Seth Rollins. Braun Strowman. So you've had, of course. So Strowman, Lashley, Brock, big meaty guys versus Omos. This will be a different story. So I'm interested to see how Seth puts on a match with Omos, because it will probably be the best match that Omos has had.
Here's my big, bold prediction. It is 4 minutes. It is got 2 bear hug spots.
Oh.
It is Rollins getting worked over for the majority of that. Rollins then hits a super kick and a stomp and he wins.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Not a Falcon Arrow?
4.5 minutes.
Not Superplex Falcon Arrow?
No. But they will tease it.
Yeah.
Up next, it is Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest in a San Juan street fight. I think Bad Bunny's going to win.
Yeah, and I don't mind that. I think this gives me big Shane McMahon versus Steve Blackman Big Show vibes. Because Bad Bunny, he's a bit of a daredevil when he performs in an amateur way, not a Logan Paul way. He's just feels like a professional wrestler. It's going to be a street fight, loads of hardcore spots, loads of smoke and mirrors.
Oh, yeah.
Probably cameos. You'll have LWO run down. You'll have Judgment Day run down. Maybe local celebrities, other people from Puerto Rico, or Bad Bunny's hip-hop mates. Is he a hip-hop star?
Yeah. Maybe some other top streamers from Spotify come out to help out Bad Bunny.
Yeah, MCAT.
Doja Cat.
That's the one I meant. I think MCAT is slang from MDMA.
Is it really? I thought for a second you were like, do you think M-Dog 20 is going to come out?
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think you could have Damian Priest just win at the end and Bad Bunny still looks great in defeat. And, much like how the Shane McMahon feuds used to go. But I think they're going to put Bad Bunny over. And I think Damian Priest isn't going to lose a shred from it.
I think there'll be so much smoke and mirrors and plunder that it won't feel like Damian Priest lost to the celebrity, particularly when the finish is Canadian Destroyer off the stage through a table.
Yes.
Which is my other prediction.
God, you're really going out there for the qualifiers.
3 count has given me a false sense of.
You as a joke prediction, you got Bobby Fish. Not Bobby Fish, where's the lie? Roderick Strong in AEW. So not only because you will lose if Bad Bunny doesn't win with a Canadian Destroyer through a table, and you'll also lose if Seth versus Omos isn't 4 minutes
if it goes
and ends with super kick.
If it lasts longer than 4 minutes 30 seconds, I'm out. Up next, a triple threat for the United States Championship. Austin Theory defends against Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed. Theory and Lashley drafted across to SmackDown, and Bronson remains on Raw. Obviously, the US title then will likely stay on SmackDown because Gunther and Imperium are taking the IC title across to Raw. So that really makes it a match between Theory and Lashley. And I think in that scenario, could be a Theory retention, because I feel like they're going to heat up Bobby to be a next feud for Roman Reigns.
Yeah. I don't know what they'll do with Bobby, but I definitely think Austin Theory retains. But this is an example of why not having titles tied to the brand identity is so important, because it's just a straight switch. Intercontinental title goes to Raw, US title goes to SmackDown. You don't have to come up with some weird contrived way to pass over belts and screw up lineages. But yeah, Austin Theory retains for me. I'm a bit cool on this.
I think
I'm not into this at all.
I wonder if it'll be Bobby Lashley has Bronson Reed beat, and then Theory sneaks in, throws Bobby out the ring, steals the pin. I don't think Theory is going to win this in a convincing manner. I think this is going to be a Theory just wins by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah. WWE are intent on making him Young Miz.
And we'll probably then go into a feud with LA Knight.
I forgot he's gone to Raw.
No. They're on
SmackDown. Sorry, SmackDown, yeah. I could be into that.
You actually gave that prediction.
Did I really?
That was one of your Backlash predictions.
On 3 count?
On 3 count was it'll be Austin Theory LA Knight.
Yeah.
Which means our last match to discuss, just double checking we've done all the others, is Cody Rhodes attempting to finish a different story or continue the story that he is trying to finish when he adversity faces Brock Lesnar. Think of the adversity.
The adversity.
He has to. Road Dogg even said this in an interview. He's gone through no adversity. He has to show. You can't just hand him the world title, ignoring that the last 10 years have been part of the story that he's trying to finish.
What do you do with the guy once he's won the title? There's no precedent for that.
And of course, the stories don't end.
No.
Apart from, when Daniel Bryan won the belt at WrestleMania.
That was nice.
Yeah.
That was narratively satisfying.
When Becky Lynch won the titles at WrestleMania, things like that. Steve Austin won the world title at WrestleMania. Yeah. But anyway, so it's Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. We both said on 3 counts, Brock squashes Cody. And I still think Brock is going to win here. And I think it's to try and I think they are really hammering home this whole finish the story. I think they genuinely do believe Cody's not gone through enough adversity. I think Cody is going to lose here. He's going to lose in the tournament for the new belt. And then there was a report that came out recently that the penciled in main event of WrestleMania 40 is Roman Cody. And I think they are going to try and do the Rock Cena story, but actually do it correct this time. Because Cena's whole thing was I had the worst year of my life where I was the main event of every pay-per-view and won all the time. Yeah. But I think, he loses here. He loses in the tournament. Maybe he enters in Money in the Bank and loses that. Loses a big match at SummerSlam. Then starts a redemption. Wins the Rumble. Wins back-to-back Rumbles. And it's him, Roman, for the Blue Universal Championship at WrestleMania 40. And that's where you finish the story. But in order to do that, you have to have him lose here. Because Cena beat Brock on the Backlash show after he lost to The Rock. And that was supposed to be the start of his... And he won that match. I think Brock still wins here.
I really like that. I think a first round knockout for Cody in the tournament as well. So he's nowhere near Seth because then maybe later on he could get a shot at Seth, loses that. I think if you're going to go down the he hasn't had enough adversity route, commit to it and have Cody have a crap time for the next 4 to 6 months. I was sort of just, you fantasy book over the weekends, don't you? And I was thinking, God, if he lost all that time and then he's like, I'm going to work my way up from the very bottom. Classic Cody style. Shows up in NXT, beats a load of people there. Then he's on Raw and every week he is beating another person in increasing quality. There's an unofficial, unsaid ranking system that he's working his way up. And then maybe, he says, if I don't win it, I can't, that's the condition for the Roman match. And then he loses right at the end, and then he does the Rumble and he wins that. Boom, there's your shot. Or maybe even he loses that and he gets the shot at the Elimination Chamber. There's ways to do it, I think. So yeah, I think when we made those 3 count predictions, that was a week, 2 episodes of Raw after Mania, and we both had the sort of, oh my God, cloud of Cody losing. And not as definitively Brock wins here. I think over the last month, they have balanced it a bit more. But I think if they're going to tell that story, like you said, Cody loses here, and then we can do a big thumbnail about it. Cody botched.
Cody buried. That's the word to use.
Brock buries Cody.
Should we make that thumbnail template in advance?
We'll put it up regardless, even if he wins.
So there you are. Those are our predictions for Backlash. What are your predictions? Let us know in the comment down below. And also sign up for Wrestle League to see if you can compete against us in Wrestle League and see if you can do better than we can at these old prediction things. Well. And I don't think that's that particularly difficult because we had a terrible first season.
But on this, the predictions you've given here, I'd say we're confident on the women's matches. We differed on the 6-man. Confident on Theory retaining. Very confident on Seth winning. Bad Bunny Priest could go either way, but we both went Bad Bunny.
Cody Brock could go either. Like they could just have Cody win.
They could just badly book.
They could just have, the Bloodline do beat the good guys, and you do continue this story because the stories don't end. So you could just keep doing this thing and just keep going back to this well over and over again. There's a lot of matches here that could swing, but for my Joker pick, I'm definitely going to be putting on either. I mean, I'm probably going to put on Rhea Ripley. Yeah, I think if I was I would put on Rhea Ripley and Belair as my second option as my Joker pick to get those double championship points because those are the matches I'm the most confident in.
I'm more confident on Bianca, so I'll go Bianca.
Yeah, I'm going to go Ripley. I don't think so.
Just because Vega's on the other brand. Like, why would you even risk it?
Because. Oh, and I suppose Puerto Rico. No, Rhea Ripley is 100% winning this match. But let us know in the comments down below, what do you think? Also, if this is your first time here and you've made it this far, press the subscribe button, give us an old thumbs up and all that good jazz. Wrestle League, sign up for that. It's a great old time. We'll see you on another edition of the WrestleTalk Podcast very, very soon. I've been Luke Owen, DAD. That has been Ollie Davis. Jam that jam.